The real learning is what happens on our inspiring grounds. In a 14-acre Wi-Fi enabled campus, you will never feel disconnected from the world. The Ansal University campus is filled with playgrounds, cafes and gymnasium. Our cultural calendar is always filled with upcoming events where students become the teacher of their own act. With our prime location, it is very easy for the students to commute through metro and college buses. The on-campus boys and girls hostel gives you a feeling of home, a place where friendship is formed for life.
My role basically, as you can see in campus life, is to make sure that the students who take admission with us and live on our campus feel like at home. I also handle the hostel. We have a wonderful football ground run by a football academy, free teaching for students. We also run a tennis academy on our 2 tennis courts, 2 volleyball courts. We also have basketball in the university.
Staying on campus has been one of the best decisions of my life. Anyone who's staying on campus, they have a very set schedule. You get up early in the morning, you work out, the gym is terrific, the breakfast is awesome. You're not gonna miss your mom's food.
The hostel is very good, not because of the environment also, but it is safe for girls, boys, and you get a very good environment for studying also.
This campus is where students get the teachers and facilities they truly deserve. All the 8 schools at our campus have their own state-of-the-art libraries. Students can access them anytime they want.
A student is often recognized by the name of the institution associated with his education, and I feel proud to be a student of School of Law, Ansal University.
The university has not only contributed to my growth as an architecture student but also as a person tremendously.
With the help of TDLs, that is transdisciplinary learning, which happens here, it have helped me so much to interact and even learn from different schools.
My journey in this school has been all about self-discovering. So I came to this school thinking that I'll study interior designing, but obviously foundation happened and I obviously discovered myself.
I believe hotel management course here in Ansal University has given me an insight of how the hotel industry operates.
The environment here has not only helped me imbibe knowledge but also aided me in developing my overall personality.
Today, we welcome all of you to continue our deliberations. We have a third roundtable, City as a Learning Landscape, Child-Friendly Gurugram. We have Dr. Arjit Khalil and Ms. Juhi Malpani Bhatt as the moderators for this session. Dr. Ajit Khalil, Associate Professor at SSPD Sushant University, is a human geographer with professional qualification in urban and regional planning. He is keen to contribute to the discourses of future skills through pedagogy, entrepreneurship, and public policies by generating scientific evidences. His primary interest is in urban resilience. The other areas of his interest are inclusion, pedagogical research, and data driven urban governance. During his 21 years of professional experience, he has worked at various levels in the government as program coordinator between Government of India and German International Corporation. 5 years research experience as a PhD student at Queen's University Belfast, and 3 years as environment specialist and team leader at National Institute of Urban Affairs, India. He has been teaching at Sushant University since July 2016. Now, Ms. Juhi Malpani Bhatt is the visiting faculty at Sushant School of Planning and Development, Sushant University. Ms. Juhi Malpani Bhatt is an architect and urban planner with over 16 years of work experience as an urban planning professional and has been recognized as a senior academician at renowned institutions across India. She has been associated with Ansar University since 2013 and has been teaching in design studios for the graduate and post-graduation courses in the field of architecture and urban planning. During this period, she has authorized and co authorized research papers, provided consultancy services to global consultancy firms on urban planning projects, and also participated in the panel of adjudicators for student work across many other similar institutions like USAP, IP University, SPA Bhopal, SEPT, and CRVIA. Now, I'd ask Garima Manjuldi to introduce the panel members for today's session.
Thank you so much, Arya. So, I would like to welcome Ms. Rushda Majid, India representative, Barnard Van Leer Foundation. Ms. Rushda Majid is the India representative, Barnard Van Leer Foundation. She is responsible for Barnard Van Leer Foundation work in India. Previously, she helped manage Bloomberg Philanthropies India Smart Cities Challenge, a competition to select 100 cities for central government funding as part of country's Smart Cities mission. Rushda has lead research in 11 countries for the Punjab University Innovations for Successful Societies to analyze reforms that improve government performance and accountability. She has also served as co-team member on re-election campaign of two members of parliament, advised a World Bank team on case study research, and managed a global leadership program for a New York-based non-profit. Rushda has written numerous case studies on institutional reforms, and her writings on the subject have appeared in foreign policy magazines. Democracy Lab. She has a master's degree in international affairs from the School of International and Public Affairs at Columbia University and a bachelor degree in computer science from Eastern Kentucky University. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Manish Thackeray, Head Urban Program and Policies Save the Children India. Mr. Manish Thackeray works as the Head Urban Program and the Policy at Save the Children India. He provides ongoing technical support to 12 state project offices to ensure quality implementation of urban programs. He oversees regular performance review of the strategic targets in the relation to the climate change risk assessment CCRA and urban resilience big idea, working with the research advocacy to build and implement or undertake the research, advocacy, and campaigns linked to the issues of urbanizations and its impact on the children. He has over 17 years of experience in social and development sector. He holds a master and MPhil degree in applied geography from the Center of Study of Regional Development, School of Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU. He is also an external mentor to India Smart Cities Fellow, an initiative of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. on project monitoring of crimes against the children in the urban areas through data integration. Now, I would like to welcome Ms. Aruna Bhardwaj, Associate Professor at School of Art in Architecture, Sushant University. Ms. Aruna Bhardwaj is an associate professor at Sushant School of Art in Architecture. She was the co-founder of Vertex Design and an associate partner at Vertex Inc. for over 2 decades, where she was involved with the organized retail, commercial, and residential projects. MSM Museum at City Place and Jagar Gallery, Jaipur, and were key adaptive reuse projects that were handled by her. She is pursuing her PhD in child-friendly urban spaces and advocates the right of child and to the city through the participatory planning. She has explored the various facets of citizens' advocacy through various elective studios such as Apni Sadak, a community participation project promoting ownership of public space and neighborhood, iCity, public participation in reimagining urban public space in Gurugram, and learning spaces for migrant workers, children, participatory children's design project in Gurugram. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Garima and Arya, for introducing the moderators as well as the panel. And we are now ready to have an hour and a half deliberation about city as a learning landscape and how we can contextualize this whole discourse into the case of Gurugram. And this is not something which we have discovered. The city as a learning landscape is not our idea. This is something which Itai Palti as well as Kathy Pasek has they have been deliberating. This is something which we, Aruna, me and Jui has been trying to internalize in our thinking, and we have been uh, engaging on this. So we thought it will be good to bring this kind of a framework in relooking at Gurugram. And what concerns us is this is a city which has been creating a lot of wealth, a city which attracts a lot of talent, a city which is constantly trying to innovate and move into higher circles of learning as well as new ways of organizing its life. And we thought it's important to put humanism at the very center of the city's future. And all of us are equally concerned about this, the need for bringing humanism at the city's future discourses. We are quite mindful that the challenges that both physical as well as mental health is bringing to our lives. Of course, now during the COVID outbreak, things have become much more challenging. Children who are compelled to remain indoors, there are issues which are coming from their long screen time, long hours of screen time, obesity, juvenile diabetes, all these things, lack of physical mobility, physical activities are preventing them from having a very meaningful life. Beyond that, what concerns us is that if we have to rewire the entire system, if we have to relook at the city and its system from a humanistic point of view, we have to actually start bringing the new values. And we are quite mindful that new values are, of course, it has to start from trust. Nothing happens without we establishing trust through our actions and our conscious effort to build relationship with people, and not in a competitive manner, but rather we want to build meaningful relationships. And we believe embedding this in children's mind and embedding this into their childhood experiences that they are living, they are growing through a trustful environment, makes them feel stronger, makes them feel they are part of a bigger, larger society, and the society is going to look after them. They have to give back the same trust as they grow up. And I think this is a kind of concern that we have. And having known the years of work that Rushda and Manish and other colleagues have put in these areas, we are only reflecting. And I have to accept that these are some thoughts which we have picked up from all of your work, Bernard Van Leer Foundation's work. My short engagement also previously working with you, I actually have picked up these values from the work that you have been championing. And I don't have further points to elaborate. I will request Juhi to add if any points she would like to add, and then maybe we'll offer the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ajib. Yeah, that's actually so very well put. How the children should be put at the center of development, and especially in our cities, which are so fast paced as of now. The kind of urban development that is taking, it's almost like iPhone 11 comes in and then iPhone 12 comes in, and somehow we've been catering to the working population, the young, but the working population, and we've kept the children at the background, whereas they are the actual future who are going to engage with the city. And that is where it becomes very important for us to actually design our cities in such a manner that it embraces the children first and then the other people, because child is the center of humanity, actually, very, very truly put. So without any further delay, I would like to hand over the floor to Ms. Rojda over here. And Ms. Rojda, please, what do you have to share your opinions with us, opinions and experience with us? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ajit. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation to the Virtual Urban Thinkers Forum, and of course, thinking about Gurugram as a learning city. And for listeners, my name is Rishda Majid, and I'm the country representative for the Bernard Vandier Foundation. And I would like to take this opportunity to talk about the foundation, but also about what we do and why we do what we do. So we have a short amount of time together, and I really wanted to kind of bring some principles, especially in the spirit of a learning city, on the table, and hopefully we'll get some opportunity to discuss it as we talk through the panel. So I'll just share my screen in terms of a PowerPoint presentation that is quite visual, and that I think it would be very very useful to talk through some of the principles that we work with around the globe. So I will just share my screen in 1 minute. And if I can just get a heads up in terms of, yes, great. So I think this is visible. I'll just do a full screen. So the Bernard Vandier Foundation is a foundation that's based in the Netherlands. And as you'll see on this slide, we believe in a good start for all children. And what we believe in is that a good start puts all individuals, especially children, on the path to realizing their full potential. It helps in building a happy, healthy, and prosperous society. And one of the ways we do this is through thinking about the link between very young children and the people who care for them. And so I wanted today to take the opportunity to talk about Urban 95, which is a global initiative that the Bernard Vandier Foundation has been working on. This is a relatively new and innovative work that we are focusing on from the lens of early childhood. And the idea behind the 95 centimeters is that the 95 centimeters is the height of an average average height of a healthy 3-year-old child. And so this question that is on the screen is, if you could experience the city from the height of 95 centimeters, what would you change? And this is a question for all the students here, city planners, city decision makers, and people who are really involved in the planning, design, and management of cities. So the idea here is to put very young children at the center of city planning and design. And the reason for this is linked to what Ajit said earlier in terms of humanism, and in terms of really thinking about young children and what they're missing out if we are not catering to their needs from the perspective of city planning and design. And the reason is very well encapsulated in this slide. So while some of you may have already guessed, but this slide, this image is of neural connections. So the human brain, as many of you know, is made up of hundreds of billions of neurons. And the reason I'm talking about the human brain is that for very young children, about 1 million neural connections are formed per second. So most of our brain development happens during the first 5 years of a child's life. And this is not to say that a brain stops developing later on, but about 80 to 90% of the brain is formed during the first 5 years. And some research shows that even earlier, during the first 1,000 days of a child's life. And it is the flow of signals between these neurons that controls our emotions, our actions, our memories, our logic. And this is the exact reason why we focus on very young children, the 0 to 5 years, through Urban 95. And therefore, that question, and looking at a height of a healthy 3-year-old child, is that if we are able to look at city planning and design from the perspective of very young children, this is where the maximum impact can happen. This is, I'll go through this slide quickly. This is a slide that is from the Center for Developing Child at Harvard University. The one on the right actually talks about what I've just mentioned, which is the brain's ability to experience change over time. And you see that later on in life, a lot of effort is required to do it, whereas during the very early years, the brain is growing exponentially. The other two images are about of an infant. This is from a long-standing study also by Harvard University, running in Bangladesh, about mapping brains in young children. And the image that is at the bottom shows the brain of a child, and this child has probably not received appropriate opportunities to play, to learn, proper nutrition, or the loving care of a parent or another caregiver. And the brain at the top has probably received all of these opportunities to learn, to play, nutrition, responsive caregiving, and safety and security. And so this research shows that there is a direct impact on brain development during the early years of a child's life. And it is linked to cities as well. This is part of an internal mapping that we've done at the Bernard Melior Foundation. And you can see that a lot of the development that happens early on is connected to the built environment. And therefore, you need connection to nature, access to services. Here we've put healthy food or healthcare, but all the services that young children might need early on. Looking at air pollution, there are stressors in urban living that will prevent the child from receiving proper care and love from an adult in their life. And if they're not able to receive that, the effects, of course, some of it can happen later in life, but in most cases, nearly all cases, it's very hard to reverse. And so this is how we think of cities and children and caregivers. And when I say caregivers, I mean parents and elder siblings, grandparents, uncle, aunts, who are all involved in rearing us when we were children. And so healthy child development is linked not only to services for babies and toddlers in terms of health services or access to daycare centers or creches, but also services for their families, and also linked to planning and design and overall healthy environment for children. And so I just wanted to, with that framing, I just wanted to move on to some examples from implementation to give you more of an idea of what I mean when we say that one should think about cities from this perspective, from the height of 95 centimeters. And this is just a little bit more about Urban 95, the cities that are in the process of working on the Urban 95 initiative and putting this lens on and getting support from the Bernard Melior Foundation. In India, we work in 3 cities, Pune, Udaipur, and Bhubaneswar. And Bhubaneswar obviously has a long history of working on this. And right now, in a few days, actually, we'll launch a challenge in collaboration with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs to really engage other cities that are interested in this concept and in the planning and implementation from an early childhood lens. I've already talked about most of this, but this encapsulates looking at public spaces, looking at data, looking at neighborhood planning, mobility, and Ajit talked about mobility quite a bit. So how does this really play out in practice? So I'll just mention 3 areas in terms of data, public spaces, and mobility. Obviously, there are a lot many areas. And this is one example actually from ongoing work that's going on in Recife under Urban 95 in Brazil. And early childhood is a cross-sectoral issue, which means that a child needs health, but also nutrition, but also a range of other services. And therefore, cities have to think about children as a whole and not piecemeal. And so therefore, early childhood development will not fit within a department. It will fit across all departments. And many cities are using data to manage this collaboration across sectors and across departments. And so just in case of all of you here, urban planners, city planners, engineers, architects, but also you need to work with health professionals, to work with education folks, and therefore the idea that you need data to be able to manage this collaboration. This is in Istanbul, and here the city did a mapping of where children are and where the services are for young children. And what they found was that most of the early childhood services were not really where all the children and their families were. And this was especially true for disadvantaged and poor families living in informal settlements or slums. And therefore now the city is taking some decisions to make sure that the services are actually available where very young children are, the 0 to 5 years. In terms of transportation and mobility, this picture is from Lima, Peru, where and also this will happen under the challenge and already in Pune and Udaipur, where this idea of a 15-minute neighborhood and locating services very close to where families are so that they can walk to the services, they can use a shorter commute time to be able to get there. And the reason for this is that when mothers or fathers or even other caregivers take children out in the city, they have to carry the child, or in some countries they're going to be using prams or strollers, but you're designing for mobility for two people, not one. And therefore it's important to also locate services close to the families to be able to for families to be comfortable taking children out. And I think in India and in many of the cities, even where I grew up, is that we were all used to being out and about in the cities, but within a generation, a lot of very young children have been crowded out of public spaces and streets and our mobility options. And so this is some thinking to bring back on the table. This is in Udaipur, and this was an intervention the city did last year, hugely successful. This is outside a pre-primary school, Vidya Mandir, and this is more from a safety lens to make sure that people who are using the road and motorists and so on know that there's a school, and also make it less accident prone. And this was an area where a lot of accidents had happened, and it created a huge furor in the city. This is from Tirana, Albania, where the city is taking active measures to allocate more space on the street with children very early on, to this idea of changing mindsets early on, so that the generation can grow up knowing that this is normal actually to be walking or cycling. And then very briefly, in the interest of time, I just wanted to mention that these are some examples from Pune for public spaces, designing small green public spaces where mothers and fathers can be out and about, have places to rest. Shading, this is a great example of design where it's really encouraging families to come out and take a stroll in their neighborhood and really enjoy. So this is another lens we put on. Another example from Udaipur is to make sure that public spaces that are unused. This was an area that was filled with garbage. A lot of cars were parked here, motorcycles, and really it was hazardous for children because there were open lines as well in terms of electric cables. And so the city and some of the technical partners worked on this to make this safe and playful for young children. And this links back to the brain development argument of children needing to see very interesting things and opportunities to play and learn within their urban environment. So just in conclusion, food for thought for all of you here and for the city is how can the city think about encouraging early childhood brain development? How can you incorporate it in city design and planning, especially for all the students, because you're going to impact your cities for generations to come? And what are some of the quick ways to do it? How do we reach more young children and their families? And with that, I will just end the presentation. But thank you so much for the time.
Okay, thank you, Rushda. That was really many of the ideas that BVLF has been working, and your own engagement and in Indian cities as well as evidences from global settings, and bringing, and actually you brought the ideas of neuroscience and those related issues, which we have also been recently familiar, because when we were looking at some of those aspects, how the stress on the neurons in early childhood stage can affect their life's prospects and can disable someone's opportunity in life. So that was quite gainful, intellectually gainful, and I'm sure the viewers would also have got a great set of ideas for to think, ponder, and deliberate. Um, let's have Manish now, because Manish is going to bring something from because they think, breathe, imagine, act on children's lives. So save the children is something which actually their whole mandate is to engage with children and children's lives and their realities. Manish, we would like to hear from you. And it was very interesting to read that paper that you shared the other day. That and I think there will be exciting things. You actually have a lot of fire in that, and it will be great if you can build on and expand. Juhi, over to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank. Yeah, I would leave the floor for you, Manish. So carry
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, thank you for inviting me for this panel discussion, and I will be talking about why we need child-friendly cities. So, India's two predominant demographic characteristics, a high share of young population and surging urban populations, call on the country's urban policymaker to make cities more child-friendly. Yet, the very concept of child-friendly cities has yet to be mainstream in the India's policy lexicon. This may be understandable given the dire situation of Indian cities overall. They are mired in serious challenges such as acute pollution, rampant crime, infrastructure deficit, mobility congestion, and environmental hazards. However, the lack of attention on creating child-friendly cities is no longer desirable nor reasonable. Some fundamental statistics make a compelling case for need to make India's cities child-friendly. Globally, of the entire urban population, 1 billion children are 1 billion are children. By 2050, 70% of all the world's urban children will live in urban areas. India is home to 472 million children, comprising of 39% of its population. Every fourth child in India lives in urban areas. Given that globally, over one-third of children in urban areas are unregistered at birth, these would be many more. There would be many more children in urban areas than is presently known. These figures leave little room for doubt that building child-friendly cities has become an imperative for India. So what is important to understand that how UNICEF defined child-friendly cities. A child-friendly city is a city or any local system of governance that is committed to fulfilling children's rights, including their right to influence decisions about their city, express their opinion on the city they want, participate in family, community, and social life, receive basic services such as healthcare, education, and shelter, drink safe water and have access to proper sanitation, be protected from exploitation, violence, and abuse, walk safely in the streets on their own, meet friends and play, have green spaces for plants and animals, live in an unpolluted environment, participate in cultural and social events, and be an equal citizen of their city with access to every service, regardless of ethnic origin, religion, income, gender, or disability. So, what makes cities inhospitable for children? London-based engineering and design firm Arup has provided a useful framework for studying the issues pertaining to the creation of child-friendly cities. So, some of the issues which I will be highlighting here is traffic and congestion. These issues are critical given the amount of time that children spend outdoors to travel to and from their schools, play areas, markets, and social gatherings. The roads, footpaths, crossings are essential in making cities safe and inclusive for children. Consider the statistics. Transport-related injuries ranked fourth as cause of death among 5 to 14-year-old in India in 2016. High-rise living in urban sprawl. While high-rise residential setups tend to limit the interaction that children can have with their communities, the urban sprawl focuses on car-focused cities, Such living design also reduces the physical activity of children. In slum areas, too, children live in conditions that are not clean, safe, and conducive to their overall child welfare. Data shows that over 8 million children in the age group of 0 to 6 years live in urban slums. It is not surprising that a survey in 2017-18 on school health and fitness in 86 cities across 26 states in India found that 2 in every 3 children in age group of 7 to 18 do not have a healthy body mass index, and 1 in every 3 have inadequate lower body strength. The problem of lack of physical activity has only exacerbated during the COVID-19 crisis, as schools have remained closed and children are mostly indoors. Third important issue is crime, social fear, and risk aversion. Children's mobility, especially for those in the younger age group, is determined largely by their parents' or guardians' perception of the risk in their environment. According to the data from National Crime Record Bureau, the number of crime against children in 19 metropolitan cities, which are over having a population of more than 2 million population, is increased from 19,081 in 2016 to 21,425 in 2019. The total number of victims, child victims, registered in these cases increased from 20,571 in 2016 to 23,107 in 2019. Poor infrastructure, including the absence of street lights, footpaths, and safe public spaces, pose serious threats to children's movement in the cities and thereby contribute to the stunting of their development. Fourth issue is inadequate and unequal access to the city. This involves access to health and education facilities. For young girls in particular, the problem can be disproportionately acute. According to Save the Children study on World of India's Girl, we called it popularly as Wings report, traveling in public transport gave the highest sense of risk perception to girls in urban areas, 47%. This was followed closely by commuting to the local market, 41%, and using the narrow streets of the neighborhood or their school, 40%. The roads to their school, local market, or private tutor was also largely perceived as unsafe. Total respondents are 37%. According to NFHS 4, 38% of India's urban poor children are stunted. Another issue is risk of isolation and intolerance. The single-use neighborhoods restrict the movement of people throughout the day and prevent children from going to such spaces. During natural calamities, for example, children suffer the worst. We can see in Hyderabad floods due to their physical ability to cope and keep themselves safe. The other issues that impact children in India's cities include the lack of age and gender disaggregated data on children living in slums and non-slum households. And of course, for children in street situations, the most deprived of them, the limited orientation programs for municipal and planning officials in engaging children in planning and design, and of course, their awareness about the United Nations Convention for the Rights of the Children, and of course, SDG 11, which talks about inclusive and safe cities for all, and negligible participation of children in the municipal affairs that directly affects them. It's very important when we talk about friendly cities. It means participation in design and budgeting as well. Child Rights Body has reached out to the Delhi Development Authority to ensure that the Delhi Master Plan 2041 will not neglect to make provisions for the creation of child-friendly spaces in the capital city. And to conclude, what is important now is amid COVID-19 pandemic, when children are having to deal with constraints on learning and playing and thereby limiting the full use of their faculties, it would do well for India if the union government and state and city officials come together to find long-term solutions to the lack of child friendliness in the country's cities. Child-friendly cities which bring gains not only for the future for the children themselves but for the cities. This would bode well for India's initiative in turning its urban regions into engines of economic growth. And to all the students, what is important at this juncture is, are we really assessing the situation of children in cities? Are we really considerate about the pain points of which children from 0 to 18 years, especially the girls living in the most deprived and marginalized locations, are being considered or not? And understanding those pain points, doing that situation analysis, planning and designing to overcome those pain points is the way forward. So I will end here, and I will happy to discuss and deliberate in further. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Manish. You have lived beyond our expectation. I mean, you have gone beyond what we wanted you to say, and you have now kind of troubled us enough. I think there will be people who will be kind of going to pick up several threads that the issues of child victims and what kind of lack of infrastructure, what things which are either ignored or not being thoughtfully done in city environment. How does it affect lives of vulnerable, especially when they are the younger ones? And the smaller aspects, the lack of footpaths, the absence of street lights, those minor things which you pick it up, and then how it actually gets magnified when a child, especially a young child who walks around the premises which he or she thinks is familiar and is their natural territory, but they fall prey into certain situations. It could be individuals whose value systems are different. It could be situations and circumstances, maybe because the absence of a proper footpath or an uncovered manhole. We don't know, but the life gets changed for him, her, as well as the entire family and the society. So you actually have hit us on a very very with a very powerful set of ideas, and I would just like to request Aruna to come and expand on this, because there are very context specific evidences Aruna and Juhi has generated from the city of Gurugram, and those evidences will be relevant for us to see and hear now. Over to you, Aruna.
Hi. Hi. Hello. So I will present, and I think Rushda and Manish, they have actually literally talked about all the things that I am really going to talk about, because it's the basic things, the nuances and the basic things that matter, and they need to be addressed. So without much ado, I will present. Um, um, Give me a minute, because this will, if possible. Um, I don't know. Okay. Uh, is it visible? Uh, yeah, just a minute. I hope it is visible. Is it visible? Can somebody answer?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. So exactly the point that Manish and Rusha were talking about, and I think they are essentially, what I am going to do is just reiterate the same, and being the last in this panel, so that's my prerogative. But I think there is no question about what we are talking about here, and what we are talking about city as a learning environment, and naturally so. But I have actually wanting to really talk about safe learning cities. And safety is, as we all know, safety is a very serious issue. And so something that Rushta really spoke about in detail. And we are talking about the first 8 years. I just put in these points, and the presentation was made, so I've not removed it. So, but the environment is a very important part of the child's development, specifically from 0 to 2, which is again within the house. So we are not really talking about it so much. But then when you talk about 2 to 6, 6 to 12, the environment provides experiences, and that are stored as memory. They and it is very very important that it actually it influences the cognitive, social, and emotional development of the child, which is a factor specifically we are missing in our Indian metropolitan cities, and it needs to be um, addressed. And like already said, and a lot of work has already been done. We have been Manish also referred to the child-friendly cities by Arup. Tim Gill is one of the researchers that we have been following. And children, when kept in a child-friendly environment that delights, inspires, and educates, can be competitive and productive, which is very, very visible in if you see in the new age schools which have embraced this. The experiential, collaborative learning schools have done this, have been experimenting with this, and have actually really resolved this issue to a large extent. Unfortunately, out of the school environment, once the child is out of the school environment, and that also a very restricted few, because it's a very few schools in comparison to the number of schools, Montessori education. So, so these different thought processes which have looked at this idea have incorporated it. But when we talk about children, there are diverse children, and children are many and of different economic brackets. And I think that is one of the major lines of division. So when we say, is the city responsible for us exploring, our experiencing, for our well-being and learning? For us, the children, I think so, have a very important and have the right to question us. And um, I feel the children are not questioning enough, because um, uh, we are not really giving even our any of the children any rights that, or the thought that they have that right. In fact, what consecutively we have taken away, we have taken away this right from them. And in fact, we are more and more, the children believe that they have to do as they are told. So when we talk about the city, yeah, so I just want to share. So mine is a very visual, pictorial thing, and all the points, the statistics Manish talked about, put forth over here. So we are talking about an inspiring Gurgaon, and I'm talking about inspiring here. Basically, it also talks about, since I'm talking about safety in terms of, um, I mean, how safe is this? I mean, why do we need a highway in the middle of the road? And because this I'm also showing is this is in our vicinity. We are in sector 55, and this is 54, and this is the major point of commute to our university. And the studies that I have done with in my elective studio, and the studies that and the research work that we've been doing, Dr. Ajit, Juhi, and myself, for looking at the city's social infrastructure, has been about this. And really, what are we talking about? I mean, do we need a highway? I mean, is there not enough space to give a 3 meter sidewalk? And why do we need to make, because this is a point that really came up, and I will not deviate right now, because there's just too many things that I can talk about, but I'll go by the presentation. So I think this picture says it all. And so where is the child in all this? Okay, so don't be a child to ask these questions. And what we have is very important matters of really shifting all the automobiles, picking them up, getting them to Gurgaon, getting them back, sending them to Manesar. So that's what our streets are all about. And then we have these little bubble condominiums, and then we have the other section of the society we were just living next to. And I will, what I'm going to do is take this opportunity to share what we did as our studios. And so before I get on to that, there is a basic premise, and this is why I'm talking about safety. And Manish has already spoken about it, but I am just I'm like literally having the spotlight on Gurugram here. And uh, the data, of course, 2020 data is, there is not much to be talked about, but there is 2019 data is missing from here. But it was 2018, Gurugram really got rocked with this idea of how the pedophile was there, who eventually got caught in 2019. And not only that, but children are missing. There was this whole scare that the children are disappearing. And so is this wrong that we have this scare? I mean, the parents have this care, and I keep questioning, and I keep saying it's a matter of mindset, which it also is, but this is our reality. And so, bringing to some of the elective, what I'm just going to share is what we try to do at a university. And this is so this was a studio which was run by me, but Ajit was also a part of it. He came in and went because very interestingly. So we did a community participation elective, which was actually looking at that the metro station that I just now showed in the picture, and coming all the way to our university, very beautiful road. And but the idea was there are certain housing units over there, and we called it Apni Sadak, and we did a very successful event. And we asked and we got the people out, and we told them, please come in, talk about it. And so we looked at, so this is the stretch of the road, and we identified issues. We came up with all these points, and we identified stakeholders. And if you see, there are stakeholders, if you see carefully, you will see that even there is this residential housing societies. And one would suppose that these housing societies are going to be very much bothered about what happens on this road. But sadly, it was not to be. And those were the ones who created the maximum inertia in actually getting involved, or even suggesting. We made a WhatsApp group. We were after them. We told, we let's look at this, let's do this. But some of the because of our students, we did have a very successful event, because some of the, in fact, it became, because we had a children's event over there, and it was a children's participation. And it was people like the rickshaw, the auto rickshaw people, who actually who owned the road, and who said this road is ours, because we have been here when Ansal University came up, before these housing societies came up. And there were issues and about it that they really talked about. And we looked at it, and I'd like to just share the points that we looked at. It was, we called it say, mobility and the facilities and community. And in fact, in my mind, I think these are the three points that really matter. And if we are able to create each neighborhood, each network on the basis of this, I think we would be able to address all our issues of children, child friendly spaces. And we brought it, we just we actually one would say brought it to these 3 points. And the vision for our proposals, which the students eventually made and submitted, but which was part of their submission and marking, but unfortunately didn't go on to become a big has to be presented in a large, to the larger audience still. Is that Hasti Khelti Sadak? It was supposed to be a vibrant street, and a vibrant street which it can translate into, and that was the theme. And but for that one day, it was a super vibrant street, and everybody was on the roads, and everybody was there. We had participation from children. We did not have participation so much. RWAs, one or two of them came in, but we did not have the public coming in. And that was one of the challenges that the students also faced. And it was now what we had over here.
I guess there seems to be a technical glitch on Aruna's end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I think there seems to be a technical glitch on her end, but to continue what she was presenting, actually, what is interesting is on Aruna's end, she's been working with the students. She's raised some uncomfortable questions over here, and she's been proactive about this one uncomfortable question, that why we as adults, as planners, designers, activists, we are constantly thinking how we believe we know what a child wants, but she has been actively involved in the child is a very strong stakeholder. And the child, actually, we need to ask the children what they want. And she's been advocating the fact that children themselves are very, very intelligent. We can ask them, if you ask them the right questions, they will give you the directions of what they want, what their needs are. And as adults, we believe that a playground may work for them, but actually it may not be true. It might be a very simple street which works for them, simple, because children engage with the street, like, they are the ones who are walking from schools to homes. And what has happened is, because we do not have, as she showed these uncomfortable images, she's shown through those that there are no footpaths. Even Rushda and Manish have been talking about the same thing. And obviously, because of the lack of certain kind of infrastructure, children are not coming onto the streets, and it's not really their fault. Obviously, the parents are not really secure about sending them out, which was probably not the same. The situation varied, or probably three decades back, where our parents, or we also engage with the city. We could step out without any fear. So on that note, actually, I would hand it over to you, Dr. Jeet. What do you have to say about that? What do you have to add?
Okay. Yeah, so there are things which Aruna actually picked up. I mean, the idea of inspiring Gurugram. Yes, we are actually trying to inspire Gurugram to be a city of learning, to be a city which is quite mindful of children's realities and children's rights. Children's rights is what Aruna has been trying to advocate here, and children's rights embedded in the whole community's rights, actually. Whether it is a auto driver, whether it is someone who just uses the street, which is connecting the rapid metro station to the Sushant University, or it's the rights of the those who are residing in the neighborhoods. So the rights, the human rights, and putting children's rights within that envelope, and then trying to make this argument that, okay, if we realize and if we regard each other's rights, we are actually able to inspire each other. We don't have to kind of violate anyone's right. We don't have to violate anyone's requirement space. If we remain within our own spaces and give others their due space, I think that call was very, very strong. I can't step out of this without linking what Aruna said and what the UN Habitat actually has brought in 2013, the streets as public spaces and drivers of urban prosperity. You actually are hitting on the right thread here. If we are able to create healthy, vibrant, and nicely designed, properly designed streets, they obviously start collecting the creativity. They obviously start collecting the best thing in the community, and such places, which are living places, will offer safety, security, and healthy opportunities for everyone. And children obviously can lead that process. Showing some images from the exercise that we did was quite helpful. I think the viewers will really gain from seeing these connects and how we are connecting the dots. We are not just speaking. We are at Sushant University. We are connecting these dots between what we aspire and the communities around us, and how we are able to build that vision and link it to the national and global debates, which Rushda and Manish brought in. So at that note, I will now go on to invite the next two speakers, who are the master students at School of Planning and Development, Sushant University. We have Vidushi Gupta and Shubhra Sharma with us. They are going to make a short presentation together. So briefly, let me introduce these two young and prospective planners. Vidushi Gupta is an architect by training. She has a bachelor's in architecture from Gautam Buddha University, and she has worked with leading architects like Manish Agarwal and associates for a year. She's currently pursuing master's in urban planning, and she's a second year student. welcome Vidushi here. And along with
Thank you
her,
so much, sir.
Shubhra Sharma is an architect again. She graduated from the University School of Architecture and Planning, IP University, Delhi in 2018. She worked for about 2 years in IISS and has been engaged in many public projects like multimodal integration of Chhatarpur Metro Plaza, rejuvenation of Coimbatore Lakes under Coimbatore Smart City Initiative, PWD Streetscape of Northern Roads, Delhi, Streetscape of Northern Roads in Delhi. She joined Sushant University to pursue masters in urban planning to increase her scope and contribution to the society and empowering vulnerable sections through problem solving techniques. That's great aspiration from both of you. Over to you. You have about 10 to 12 minutes to share. How do you see, imagine child-friendly Gurugram, and what are your thoughts? Over to you.
Thank you. Present the screen. Good morning, everyone. I am Vidushi Gupta, and I will be talking about the child-friendly city. What first we want to know what is child-friendly city. A city, a child-friendly city is a city or a town or a community or a system of a local governance committed to improve the lives of children within their jurisdiction and realizing their rights. Like right now, if we see in every city, like we are planning for everyone, we have parks, but what about the children? For children from age from 0 to sorry, from 1 to 5 or 5 to 10, the age groups, what we are planning for them? And the broadly speaking, a city or a town where children, we have to protect them. We have to give them a good start life. We have to give them access to quality of social services, experience of quality, inclusive and participatory education and skill development. We have to provide them more education and skill development training centers where they are just not learning their regular academic work, but they also learn some other things other than academic, where they can do they can play and learn together. Because of that only the student of the 2 year or 3 year child can learn. They don't want to sit and they just don't want to grab things from the textbook or something. They just want, and they won't grab that much. If a child is playing something and then learning, they will remember from till the last of their mind, that yes, at that age I learned this. And they express to we have to give them learning that how to express their opinion and influence decision that affects them, participate in family culture and a city community based social life. And if they participate in cultural programs in a school or family function, they get confidence, they get how to communicate with others. And we have to, the main thing we have to provide is the live in safe, secure and clean environment, which is the most important thing right now in the world, like safety, which play a very important role. There's right, if we say there are many now also, if we see there are many cases of child abuse and everything, we have to make a city safe and secure for a child who can roam around whenever he wants to go and play. The parents should not get affected like, oh, my child is going, so I have to take care of them. I have to also go and I have to see whether he is secure or not. If we talk about the previous time also, our parents were not that much insecure of safety that, oh, if my child is going for playing outside in a park, she will be affected with something. No, now, but now every parent is insecure that what will happen to my child if he or she will go alone. So yes, we have to make the city safe and secure, and then we have to make the child to meet their friends and have a playful, joyful place for themselves also. And if we talk about how to steps, how to design these things, like first we have to assess the situation of a children, including the process. We have to know what problem the children has been facing, and then we have to develop an action plan with their what the situation is, then how to handle that situation. Then we have to implement the action plan which we have made with the help of the children evaluation. And the most important thing, after implementing, we have to monitor what is going on. Is us if the children are now feeling secure or they have any other problem, we have to do a regular monitoring and evaluating for that action plan, which is the most important thing, and we forget every time the evaluation thing and the strategies. First, like here also we have to collect data. That collecting data is very important, play a very important role. Then only we will know what problem a child is facing and what type of thing he wants to have. Then we have to give awareness and an advisory to the child. We have to aware the child as well as the parents also. Then we have to give our laws and policies also. Like if this happens, we have to give them punishment. Right now in India, we are seeing many cases of abuse, but right now people don't have that proper law and on orders for that. So we have to work on that also. We have to make a strategic plan so that we can overcome with all these situations. We have to allot a budget also. If we talk about we build many parks and everything, but after some time we don't have the money for maintaining the park as well as the maintaining the recreational areas for the children. Then that park is abandoned because the people don't come because they don't feel that why should we come. There is no management. If the thing is broken, it will be broken. Then why student will come here? We have to make sure the child and youth participation in every single thing. And the areas where we have to see child friendly is the health, participation, education, environment, protection, play legislation, and everything. If we talk about 95 challenge, it was a challenge by Bri Foundation, which Ma'am has told about us. She told us what she is doing and how foundation is doing for this. In a very small note, I would like to tell this challenge Urban 95 is all about to see a city from elevation of 95 centimeter, which is the average height of a city of a 3-year child. In this, we have to see the neighborhoods, public spaces, parks, transportation, healthcare, and child care, parent supports groups, and child services. There are the three cities in India which they are following, which is Pune, Udaipur, and Bhubaneswar. I would like Shubhra to continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Vidushi, for aligning us with this concept. So, while we all in a different section talk about happy cities, inclusive cities, it is now important for us to think about child-friendly cities, as children are rarely assumed to be capable of contributing to the development policies, and this section often gets ignored. So, as children are a foundation to our future cities, it is a necessity as well as responsibility for us to provide them good, safe, and healthy environment. And while city can be vibrant and exciting for open childhood, they also come up with particular challenges and risks. For example, pollution, crimes, social isolation, disconnection from nature. So I'll be here talking about such challenges Gurugram is facing in these lives. Um, First, I'm going to talk about the right to education. So, it is a fundamental right of every child between the age of 6 and 14 to have accessibility to quality education. But let's see the ground reality in case of Gurugram. So, as per a survey conducted by an NGO in collaboration with the Education Department, and which is posted on Tribune India online article, 4,183 children in Gurugram districts are not enrolled in school. And 14% of children up to 5 years of age, around 1.5 lakhs, do not go to school or any Anganwadi. The figures are really, really alarming and concerning. And reason being mostly is the financial crisis or the indulgence of in child labor. It is really heartbreaking to see a child hand with a kettle, serving tea, cleaning utensils, working on construction sites, while they are meant to gain knowledge in schools, running and playing in the parks. And also, this COVID crisis has challenged the city resiliency. Most of the students dropped from the school are from rural areas of Gurugram because due to the lack of infrastructure for online classes. Also, one thing I want to add is that Gurugram's great wealth is migrant workers, but children of same are the most vulnerable. They are living in shanties near construction sites. They remain unsupervised throughout the day. They are so prone to get involved in non-social elements, which is really a concerning issue. So it is really, really very important to provide them a livable and safe environment. And not only the children of poor laborers are affected, uh, but uh, but also the other children faces the problems like no accessibility to the park, unsafe surroundings, etc. So in our planning studio, we were studying about the green spaces in Gurugram, and what we have found is that the development sectors in new Gurugram area have housing in townships that have open areas while which will serve their residents only. There is no access to general public in parks. In return, it will create social injustice. No accessibility to park will lead them to play on streets, which is very, very unsafe. And we require more public spaces. It is not only create accessibility to all, but it also make a space democratic. So next slide, ma'am.
Yep.
Thank you. So in this slide, ma'am, slide show पे कर देंगे please.
Yeah, sure.
So this says India accounts for almost 12%. It is not visible to me, so let me just give the inference. So WRI had.
No, wait. What is happening? I don't know.
Just click. Okay, that's it. That's it. So WRI had interacted with more than 100 students in school in Gurugram. Yeah, thank you. What they have is children see the streets and road as a place for cars, and they have this perception that roads are very much congested, and there is no equity to pedestrians, and they are so much afraid of road accidents that even if they prefer to walk or bicycle, they prefer private cars to commute. So and also children are facing non-social elements, especially the girls going to the school. So in conclusion, they are saying they prefer to walk, they prefer to bicycle. So there is a potential there, but because of no safe structures, no safe infrastructures, they are like forced to use private vehicles, which in return creating congestion in the city. So I would like Vidushi ma'am to conclude and to add
Yeah.
to this. Thank you.
As a conclusion, I would like to say that if I talk about Gurugram, when I was doing one of the part of a studio, it was a small exercise which has been given by the Ajit sir, that we have to look one of the sector of a Gurugram, which is sector 54, which is just behind our college. We have to see where are the if the sector plan. We have to just analyze the sector plan and the reality situation of the sector. So we have seen we have marked the uh, green areas or the parks of that sectors, and we have seen what is the reality of that parks, out of which 95% of the park were not in what was not under the maintenance aid. They were abandoned. They no children or a aged group or a parent don't come to that park because they don't feel secure. They don't know there's no maintenance. Grass are growing over there, and there's no footpath and everything. So there was no maintenance, and I was like shocked that why a ROW is not taking part for this maintenance the park. And the second hand, I see one of the park where construction was going on. I saw one of the guy from the other resident. he used to come and teach children who are working with their family in the construction area. He used to come every evening and gives them education. That was very shocking. Like yes, they are right now also people are giving some education as as the lower income group student child cannot go to schools or for education. So people are, yes, people are going to give them people are giving them education on the like small areas. So I think every sector or a area should have such type of school where these low income group children can come and have a certain knowledge and education about these. And secondly, they should also give we should also give them a training programs where they can learn, and they through that they can go and have a job. They can earn something after some ages. So we have to give them. So I think Gurugram should I think this like in Gurugram we should have such type of schools and everything. And we have to give a budget for maintenance the park and everything. Thank you. I would like to conclude here only. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, over.
Okay, good overview, insights were there, and also some evidences from your work that you did during the studios, as well as from other learning that you had. And obviously, uh, I am sure Manish and Rushda will have would have picked up uh, information, thoughts, and ideas, and obviously you can hear back from them. And the few good points that I picked up, and obviously you brought something in addition to what most of us you use a word data, which is quite relevant. Without measuring, without knowing what is happening and the granularity of this information, we will not be able to make any change. Will not be able to monitor that change. Uh, I really like the idea of one of you, either Shubhra or Vidush, one of you calling the great wealth is actually migrant workers. I mean, it's humanity. I mean, I just like that statement coming from young planners. Accept they are the one who is going to create wealth, and we are really grateful that these kind of thoughts are prevailing in your minds, and the constant call for equity coming from those who are going to plan and design the cities in future. It's quite inspiring. I am inspired actually to hear, and I've been seeing Manish and Rushda commenting in the chat box as well that some of the thoughts have really made them also feel stronger and more purposeful. I'm sure they will expand, they will reflect. I don't want to stay between you all now. We would like to kind of have a quick session of reflections and comments. Rushda, Manish, Aruna, and then we can shape it up as it evolves. Thank you. Yeah, Rushda, over to you. You could. Yeah.
Sure. So I thank you so much, especially to all the students for the presentation. It was really good and quite encouraging, I think, from our perspective to see all of you think through all the different elements of what is working and what isn't in cities for young children. And I think what was the most interesting for me to see is that obviously a lot of us talk at the concept level and the principles and so on. But really, I think the presentations, especially from the students, got into the nitty gritty of the implementation side of looking at budgeting, looking at data, looking at participation. So the different levers of basically pushing on this particular topic, because this is going to require a lot of different levers of influence and pressure points, if you will, but also different kinds of investments. So I think that was very, very good to see that you've already talked about and have thought through the different angles, and that was really encouraging to see also, and nice to see that you're following the Urban 95 challenge, and obviously we would love in terms of the ideas that you come up with to be involved in a lot of the initiatives that we do through the Ban and Bandier Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rushda. Manish, you were quite tempted to give some comments, and you were actually writing through. So, would you like to share some thoughts. Of course, from what they said and what Aruna said, and Aruna's work is also familiar to you because of previous conversations. And beyond that, you have been one of the floating, the professionals in Gurugram. You come in the morning, go back in the evening, you experience the city, and then you leave it for us to kind of deal with the challenges. So, I mean, from all those perspectives, you have something to share.
Yeah, when I joined Save the Children in Gurgaon, so my earlier CEO asked me how you like Gurgaon. So I replied in very negative actually. I gave him a full form of Huda is Haphazard Urban Development Authority, and why I did say is because I mean the planning is something which is a lot to be desired, and I am traveling to Gurgaon since 2003, and it's 2020, and I see I mean more of a mess rather than we are trying to make the city more livable, resilient, or inclusive. So as the students pointed out, like the non-enrollment of children in education, crime against children, and important part is parks are there but they are not usable. They did talk about the budgeting part of it, and that's the responsibility of the municipalities, whether they are actually engaging with the children in terms of understanding that how this park need to be designed, or what is the type of play equipments they wanted to have in those parks, whether those parks are accessible by all the age group, including especially the girls. Because if you see, I'm working on a paper right now where we will be discussing about how COVID-19 has affected the girls' movement, the physical activities. Now the girls who are going to school, they have access to at least to 2 games period. They can have playtime, but because of no parks in their proximity, or there is a restriction by parents. Because in one of our report, I'll just show it to you. It's Wings report, which talks about public places. And one of the reason of getting married early for the girls is because the unsafe area, the crime against children, the abuse, the rapes which are happening in the cities. And it is the collective responsibility of not only the government officials or the civil society organization, but the community itself. Because 65 to 70% of the crimes are being committed by the people who are known to the children in their neighborhood. So it's like sensitizing the people. And I think Vidushi and Shubhra, they really pointed out very important thing is like how to sensitize children. Because even my mother, till this age, I'm now 40, she told me that no, don't to talk to strangers, or eat something from them, because the environment is very bad. And that's true, because it came out in the finding when I did a study for DCPCR, where we did the spatial analysis of child abuse in Delhi city, especially the POXO cases, section 1, which talks about child rape, or the heinous crime. And we found out there are hotspots and there are areas where crimes have been repeatedly happening. Even we have Delhi police, we are the national capital, we are the globally the second most populated city in the world. We are going to be the $5 trillion economy, and so on and so forth. But when you see all these things happening on a day-to-day basis, that's not something we are creating any smart any smart or a child-friendly city. So I think very important point which Vidushi mentioned is about monitoring. Are we really monitoring things? Are we really thinking about the situation analysis, especially in those neighborhoods which are deprived and marginalized? We know, I mean, the investment and distribution of income is depending upon which are the condominiums and the low residential areas. Low residential means the poor areas. So of course the property tax or income being collected is spend more on the areas which are giving more revenues to the municipality. So we need to get rid of these things and think out of the box, that how we can engage the municipalities and the government policymakers in understanding the children's pain point, especially the girls. I mean, because I'm very concerned that girls are not getting a space, whether they are planners, whether they are in policy domain, whether they are being an IS officer. They need to come out and do, and that only will happen when the city allows them to express themselves. So to cut it short, it is really good to have this presentation which captures the Gurugram's pain points for the children. So all the best. And I also wanted to request that children should read the article which I recently published with a public policy specialist from Niti Aayog, Mr. Devashish Dhar, and we did look into all these aspects. And we did mention about BVLF Urban 95 initiative, which is because that is really interesting, because we need to have, because my daughter is 3.5, and I really scared that I don't allow her to go outside the society or to the nearest park, because things are all cemented. I mean, she will get injured. I mean, these are not designed the way it has to be designed. So you people are designer, architects, builders, so you know better in terms of what type of material to be used to make it conducive for the children to have a good mobility, safety. And of course, we need to one more point. We need to educate the car drivers, the mobility vehicles, that 30 km/h speed should be the norm, because this is not going to be the situation where people are driving at any speed in any road and they consider every road as a highway. That is not going to be solve the things. So thank you. Yeah.
So one point I have to raise, sorry for interrupting, but yes. So what I think that like who the middle class people or the higher class people, the parents are warning their children that yes, don't go there, don't talk to stranger or walk safely. But what about low income group? They are working like they are playing within the construction site area only. They don't have any safety measures and everything. They don't have even a park for them for playing. They are just playing in that mud and brick areas. So
True.
yes, as a planner, we have to plan something for them also. If the
True.
parents are working near the construction area, what about the
Yes.
children who are
In
with
fact,
them?
in
What the
fact,
Yes.
I just
I would
wanted to
like to
come
budge
in
in
here
big.
because I could not share the other two elective studios that had taken place, which was in fact with the Banjara community and the migrant worker children. And that one I had wanted to share, and the findings from that are really they're eye openers, because the children of the Banjara communities, because they need to place their wares around the city, 12 years is when their childhood ends. And when you talk about these children, I think there is also, I wanted to touch upon the fact about perceptions and anxieties that we as a middle class and the upper class are really uh, you know hypnotized with. And I had actually wanted to share certain pictures of children at how they travel 5-6 kilometers across the city in groups, maybe smaller, 3 years to 12 years, 15 years, and how 4-year-old a child understands there's a road, and and there's a pavement, and how I think so the anxieties that we are building up are affecting the children of better well-to-do households. So this is becoming another malady that is going to really hit us in the face in the future. And we are going to have a bunch of people who are not associated at all with the city, have no relation with the environment, and they are going to be out there. They live in houses, they do not live in a community. In fact, the lower income group have communities, they have better social support systems, which we do not have. And our children are going to be literally mental basket cases, because we just have given them so many fears. So this is something that we as people who are working in the research field, and we are in this field where we are talking about child friendly cities, we really need to, how friendly do we want to make it? It's a big question. We need to ask how friendly. So that is, and what is that friendly? Because if you see the studies that were done 10 years back, 20 decades, 70, I think this was again one of the studies done by Tim Gill only. And there was something that a 70 in the 70s, 1970s in London, the grandfather used to cover about 8 kilometers, the father covers about 3 kilometers, and the present kid has only has a proximity of like a 500 meters. So this is something that we all need to be very, very careful about. I just couldn't
And
resist.
after COVID
No, thank
also,
you,
and after
Aruna. In
COVID,
fact, I
the record
knew
distancing
because
it has been reduced.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Aruna. Thank you, Vidushi. Yeah, definitely. I knew you wouldn't be able to resist this when actually I was wanting to hand it over to you because this has been something which is so close to your heart, and you've been constantly raising questions. In fact, I was lucky to be part of your studio for some time, where you allowed you asked your students to study children from various backgrounds, from both economical backgrounds, geographical locations, social backgrounds, and the findings came out to be quite interesting. Whereas the security came out to be like pan all parents across all geographical locations, which was quite interesting. And it is something, we are building up onto our children. And like Rushda started with the fact that it is mental health, which is extremely important. And you raised the correct question over here: what is friendly? When we are talking about child friendly, what really is do we mean by friendly? Like, is it providing certain kind of furniture? Is it providing certain kind of parks? Or what is it what defines this friendly for the children? So with that, I would again hand it over to Ajit, and I would like to actually raise the question: what is really friendly?
Okay. Uh, I think there are a lot of questions which are streaming through our minds because these people have instigated us. They have, sorry, not the right word is not instigated. They have actually triggered a lot of uh, uh, ideas and reactions. And the word that Manish was using constantly, pain points. Yes, when we are not able to kind of create an environment which is safe, healthy, and equitable for our in our cities, and the impact such actions have on future of humanity, children, the future of humanity, because we are also imparting values, our designs, our thinking, what we are missing out. These are our unspoken words. I mean, Aruna and Juhi would be able to. Aruna has been trying to translate these. What are the strong points of using designs through participation? So the Apni Sadak project, which she explained, was collecting feedback from the stakeholders who actually have the right on the street, and then kind of using that for design strategies. So there are a lot of ideas on the table. I will quickly take a minute to kind of go through the key points that remained with me, which enriched me. So the ideas that Rushda brought, especially children as the drivers of future urban policies, how carefully we should listen to them, how carefully we should engage with them, and starting from the urban 95, the 95 centimeter old, so 3.5-year-old child, what he and she imagines is important for us, for humanity to be careful, unless and until we want to kind of thwart their lives options and opportunities. So very powerful point. And the deliberations around urban 95 and the initiatives that Bernard Van Leer Foundation has been championing and leading, this, I am sure your presence, your participation, the work, the ideas that you shared is going to inspire a lot of us, is going to keep us moving forward. In collaboration with you, in isolation, we will work and we will enrich this deliberation. Thank you for coming and strengthening our perspectives. And we had Manish picking up the aspects related to risk and risk perception, and including from very personal experiences to how risk and fear is enveloping our contemporary society, and how should we eliminate those things through systematic approach to eliminate it at the childhood. Once it's entrapped in your imagination at the formative years, it's difficult, it stays there, it gets articulated in different forms. Either you attack or you kind of be defensive, but you don't want to let children to be living in fearful environment. We need to eliminate that. Built on that, aspects which Aruna brought, issues related to health, issues related to children's right and rights in for what? Rights for play, rights for walking freely, rights for having a healthy environment. The points that Vidushi and Shubhra added, right, for education and safety in their neighborhood. So these points have quite they were quite enriching. I want to kind of summarize by telling we need to kind of move from here, from these deliberations to real actions. And we will use our planning and architecture design studios to deliberate further, and there are colleagues who are invisible here, who are also working on different aspects of these work within our school and our creative cluster in Sushant University. And we will further our journey. The students who are inspired by all of your contribution will certainly take it forward in their own ways. But we will seek further support from Manish and Rushda in our journey forward. We would want to create more intergenerational spaces in the city of Gurugram. They are the assured ones, not only for children or for elderly or for differently abled, but for spaces where humanity can come together, make our cities streets something which everybody would like to come and engage and be part of. Creating that kind of streets, we have to unlock creativity, and the call is to unlock creativity and eliminate fear and thread from each other, bring back trust, bring back equity into our social discourses. That's the kind of call we want to do. And I would just leave with one last point. At some point of time, it will be great if we can explore the possibility of a children's assembly or children's parliament or something like that for the city of Gurugram. And if you think this is something which we can work together, because we have the Gurugram Progressive Schools Council partnering with us. Some of them were intending to join today, but the principals had other commitments, they couldn't join. But I'm sure they will be happy to engage and take this forward. With that, I will kind of close this session. Thank you all. Thank you for your time, and look forward to sustain this engagement.
Yeah.
Happy
Thank you.
Women's
Thank you.
Day.